Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today, our guest is Josh Rager. Josh is a crypto trader and analyst. He is also co-founder of Blockroots. Blockroots is a platform and community for crypto education for traders and investors. Welcome, Josh. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Panama. Appreciate you having me on.
Sweet, let's get going. So, who is Josh Rager?
Hey guys, so I am Josh, and as you can see me on crypto Twitter each and every week, I am a crypto trader, investor, believer in Bitcoin. I'm also a family man. I enjoy the outdoors, spending time with my wife and my kids, and just relaxing when I can take the opportunity.
What is your in real life experience and background?
Yeah, so honestly, I went to college to get into nutrition and health, and so I actually have my original degree in nutrition before pivoting out of college. I then started to work for tech companies and then really got interested into trading markets. After the 2008 stock market crash, after the housing market crash, I really got interested into trading and buying. And so ever since then, I've been into markets and of course got into the crypto market, fell down that rabbit hole in around 2016. Bought some Bitcoin and have been here ever since, and have since started Blockroots, again, market and trading education, and that's it.
When did you join crypto? 2017, 16?
2016.
Wow. You got to buy Bitcoin under, what, 1,000?
Yeah, so I started trading it around early 2017. It was under $2,000. So it wasn't quite under 1,000 when I actually bought, but it was under $2,000. And and the funny thing is I didn't sell at the top. I just held on during the whole euphoria thing. So still holding that.
What has been your best and worst decisions in crypto?
Yeah, I would say easily my best decision is having primarily majority of my crypto holdings in Bitcoin. And so that's been a really steady rock during all this up and down compared to altcoins. But that was definitely a good decision, even though I do invest in very few altcoins. My worst decision is by far trying to get involved in these Bitcoin forks. And so back in 2018, I tried to get into the Bitcoin private fork, of course, with buying Z Classic at like over $130 to then have it forked and then for Z Classic to crash down to like $13 or so. And I think I sold it under $13, and Bitcoin private, as you know, has been garbage ever since. So really it was just a big loss, and I'll never get involved in forks ever again.
Do you have a specific split of your portfolio between Bitcoin and altcoins that you go to?
Yeah, no, I mean, primarily I'm going to hold at least for me 80% of my holdings into Bitcoin. I just feel like just the security of that with, bigger players and institutions getting in. And, for me, altcoins are just, again, too risky compared to Bitcoin. I feel like altcoins primarily are to use to stack more Bitcoin. So what I hold outside of Bitcoin is, some Ethereum. I do have some Decred just because of the fundamentals of that. It's kind of neat. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know too much about it just from what I've read. And so I own like 1% of Decred, of my portfolio in Decred, and then I own some Zcash. Outside of that, I'll trade Chainlink, I'll trade Tezos and some of these DeFi, but I'm not really actually holding any of those as investments.
So do you really believe in the mass adoption of Bitcoin and crypto?
Yeah, certainly. I think Bitcoin, it's come such a long way since 2010 when it was on the market, and even before that when Satoshi created it. But it's come a long way, and, you see more and more people get into the space, and you see more and more companies, and you're seeing a lot of, traditional finance people who are actually quitting their finance jobs to get into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically. So yeah, I think that there's going to be an adoption, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of barriers to entry, specifically with fiat on-ramp, right? You need more companies to continue to do that with those regulations. And then just with the transfer and of your Bitcoin in the complex addresses that you have, right? You have to copy and paste those. And of course, if you just miss one letter or number wrong, you lose your Bitcoin forever. So I think that they really have to simplify that if you want more adoption to come into place to make it easier for everyday people.
Do you think it's more challenging in the States to get in crypto compared to the rest of the world?
Yeah, I don't. So I guess since I live in the United States, I can't really answer that 100%. I just know that for the United States, you've got limited places. You've got Coinbase, you've got Gemini, you have Level now, who I have a conflict of interest, right? Because I'm an equity owner, but who's coming out with fiat on ramp. You've got Cash App. So you've got some ways to get into cryptocurrency in the United States. And of course, you can't use some of these exchanges everywhere across the world. So, personally for me, I think that United States has a good ability to access cryptocurrency. And I think for other countries too, right? I think for like Africa, you have Luno, you have Bitstamp for a lot of other places too, but it definitely needs to increase. There certainly is not enough platforms to be able to get into Bitcoin. Doesn't make it easy, right?
Yeah, the challenge I see is that many people in the world are unbanked, and to get Bitcoin or crypto, you need to have a bank account for the most part, or
Right.
risk yourself to get scammed on a OTC deal with somebody that you don't really know.
Right.
And handling like large amounts of cash in public is not the smartest way to go in any place in the world. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
there's a big gap for adoption there.
There definitely needs to be more company that are focused on mobile that, where you don't have to have an actual bank account for the unbanked.
How is the taxation of cryptocurrency gains in where you at?
Yeah. So as far as for me for taxation, in the United States, yeah, every state is different. My state specifically taxes capital gains just as it will tax regular income. And so unfortunately for me and for many states, you're going to have that extra tax, state tax wise, when it comes to making gains with cryptocurrency. And so unfortunately, that's the regulations right now. I'm hoping for future regulations for there to be an ease on taxation. So specifically, there's been a proposed bill that would actually not allow taxes for cryptocurrency if the transactions were under $600. I do believe, give or take, something in that area. But to be taxed on every transaction is kind of ridiculous. It's not only hard to keep up with, but you can't really expect people to want to use Bitcoin and cryptocurrency if they're constantly taxed on it for small, minute, transactions for only a few dollars here and there. So hopefully this bill will pass in the next couple of years when it comes to less taxes, specifically under $600 transactions. But as of now,
Is that a statewide or nationwide?
That would be
bill?
nationwide. Yeah, that would be a
That's
national
not good
tax
at all,
bill.
especially for small businesses that want to use cryptocurrency as means of payment.
Right. Yeah. You want a bill that allows you to be able to transact Bitcoin and take payments and not have that extra tax or fee on top of it. So overall, I think that if I were to have Bitcoin and then go and buy a cup of coffee with it and Bitcoin goes up slightly and I sell that Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee, I would have to pay taxes on that, which is really silly to do, to be honest. So
it's mindless. Is there a stated amount for that tax? What percentage it is?
Yeah, it depends on your state. I mean, whenever you pay taxes, each state is different. Some states don't have state tax. So for me specifically, I'm paying anywhere between 6 to 10%, based on your income. A lot of times the state tax is going to be for your capital gains. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at an additional 6 to 10% that you have to pay depending on your state.
So moving for the next question on this same topic, what do you think about this PayPal rumor about them accepting cryptocurrencies as means of payment?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think for the space in general, just because PayPal is such a big name, I don't necessarily think that it's going to blow up the crypto market in a good way. Like, I don't think that people are going to pile on to Bitcoin if PayPal actually starts to adopt it and allows people to buy, just because, we've already got Cash App that's linked with Square, and everybody knows Jack Dorsey and Twitter and Square. So, with that, you have people using that. But I think that it's cool. PayPal got into crypto. They dabbled in crypto back in 2013 and 14 and did some, partnerships with Coinbase, of course, that fizzled out. So it's not like it's necessarily new. With them getting into it back then, it didn't necessarily blow up. So I think that is as cool as it is, and I think that it'll help with adoption. I don't think that it's going to have a massive impact immediately, right, on adoption of Bitcoin, but it will be good for the space.
I guess the more awareness that people have on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I guess with the user base of PayPal, eventually that would be an amazing on-ramp for cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, right on. No, that would be cool. I think that it'll definitely be a positive thing overall. It's just, will it actually get the mainstream attention that it should get, right? Outside of our space. Of course, naturally you're going to hear about it on crypto Twitter, you're going to hear about it on CoinDesk, but are you going to hear about it on, your local media outlets?
Yeah, definitely. If it hits PayPal, the media is gonna cover it. That would be a good one
Yeah,
in
I
our
hope
in our
so.
favor, because mass media is, I guess, is a bit biased against all cryptocurrencies. with
Right.
with some reason, like, because most of the things you hear in mass media about cryptocurrencies, which is true, is just the scams, the Ponzi schemes, the hexes cryptocurrencies. You hear more about bad things about cryptocurrencies than good things, and I guess this PayPal thing is something that could change, in my opinion, the cryptocurrency adoption.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I hope that they can pull it off, and I hope that through that PayPal can make partnerships and networking that would allow for more adoption, right? Because I think that that's just as important as just PayPal giving the ability to buy Bitcoin. I think even partnering with some of these other companies and allowing their customers to get involved in some of these other companies, or right, through partnerships, whatever that looks like.
I guess the US government is less afraid of PayPal than Facebook coin, I think, because
Oh yeah.
the Fed shut down immediately the attempt of Facebook to have a native coin. I would have think that would be great for cryptocurrency adoption, because the traction that Facebook has with WhatsApp and Instagram, like, man, that would be a dream come true for everybody in crypto.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And of course the bank stepped in because they didn't have a hand in it, right? Because when it comes to this coin, you're going to have regulations for taxes, and kind of like cryptocurrency, like, kind of like in the US last minute before the new year, I feel like in 2017, right before 2018, the government stepped up and put a new law to where like a new law for taxes, right, from the US, where you had to pay with every transaction for cryptocurrency. You had to tax it. When before, I believe the law was you had to only pay taxes when you cashed out. And so they made that law because normal people like you and I are making like way too much money on crypto, and they weren't getting a piece of pie out of it, right? They weren't getting their taxes out of it. So it's kind of like with the same thing with this coin. Now, I don't know if it would have volatility. I feel like it would be a stable coin, but still people would be buying and selling and making money off of it. And if they have no way to track it, people would be making this money that they couldn't tax. So I feel like a lot of these laws, of course, have to do with taxes. And that's why they put a halt on it, personally.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account. Moving on with legacy markets here, what do you think about the Bitcoin and SPX correlation in the past few months?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. If you take a look at the correlation prior to the big Black Swan event in March, there was at times a negative correlation, but really majority of the time it seemed like the correlation was zero, to where SPX could move and Bitcoin wouldn't necessarily move exactly with it, except for big moves. The interesting thing about Bitcoin and legacy markets is that Bitcoin has only ever known a bull market, right? Because from the creation of Bitcoin was after the stock market crash in 2008, 2009, and you've had Bitcoin trending up ever since, and so has the SPX. And so, it's really interesting to see Bitcoin drop. Of course, when markets crash, all things correlate to one, for the fact that everybody tries to get out and to get into cash. And so the correlation was one, or close to one, after the Black Swan event. And then from there, it's been, from what I can see, the correlation is now like 0.4. So there's like a mild to moderate correlation. And so I do think that if the SPX continues to be pumped up by the Fed, Bitcoin will follow, even though there's not a one-to-one correlation, but there is a moderate correlation. So I think that that'll continue on, at least in the short term.
Are we safe using USDT being the most used stablecoin? Considering Bitfinex has legal issues with the New York AG, could we eventually get Bitfinexed?
Yeah, I think the ongoing discussion with Tether is really interesting. It's been around for a while, and even though it has the largest market share, and yes, for sure, if something happened to Tether, it would probably have a very major like negative impact on the cryptocurrency market. But I don't know if they haven't gotten caught by now, or if they haven't scanned by now. I don't think that they're necessarily going to ever do so, because it's a profitable business, right? So if they're making money off Tether, why exit scam, or why go out of business, as far as that goes. And I think as far as regulation wise, if there was regulations that was going to collapse Tether, it would have already happened, in my personal opinion. So if somebody feels unsafe using Tether, they don't have to, because it's 2020 now. We have USDC or USDC. We've got a list full of other stable coins that people can use. And so I always tell people, if you don't feel safe using it, don't use it, because you certainly have other options. And now even a lot of exchanges are moving to USD. You even see like altcoin exchanges like Bittrex, right, to go to USD. So you can be in stable USD and not have to go to USDT. So for me, I'm not too worried about Tether right now. If the market drops because of it, it's just going to bounce back.
The thing I don't understand is the biggest exchanges in cryptocurrency only have like the stable coins like Tether and the other likes, but they do not have like the real USD like Kraken or Bitrex or some of the other exchanges like BT and whatever, which is really odd to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because Binance US has USD now.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
But
yeah,
Binance,
yeah.
regular Binance does not.
No, I don't think. I think they have USDT. You're
Yeah,
right.
they have all the stable coins, but not USD.
But you have to be like this you have to have some really big oversight and regulation, and regular Binance doesn't want that, right? So that's why they avoid it, and that's why they specifically created a Binance US, so that they could do that and get into the US market. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I think as a United States person in the United States, certainly you have options, but that's more or less probably a fear of a lot of people outside the United States who don't have USD as an option.
I really like USDT and the whole offer of stable coins because it allows you to swap or trade your coins directly to something similar to fiat, not fiat exactly because it's not fiat, but not having the hassle to trade your alts into Bitcoin and then to something that is something stable in case Bitcoin nukes and everything nukes.
Right. Yeah, I know it is nice. And it's nice too. The bonus of USDT of Tether is that it's by far the most used stablecoin, and it's really liquid. So meaning like you don't have this massive spread of price on USDT pairs that you do on some of these other stablecoin pairs. And so when you use Tether, it's really nice because again, it's liquid, there's not a huge spread, and you can basically get in and out of Tether fairly easily for a good price. And so that's the bonus of Tether. So hopefully it never crashes because a lot of people use it, and the liquidity of it is nice.
Yeah, I really use it down here in Panama for OTC deals because there are a few offers that do swap your cryptocurrencies to fiat, but you need to go through a bank or an institution for that. And you have to pay taxes to do that swap. So I do OTC, and most of the time when I swap from crypto to fiat, quote unquote, I use USDT because I don't know, I don't want Bitcoin to nuke and the price of my assets to drop. That's why by the most part I use on OTC and also to trade from alts because of the less volatility of them.
Yeah, no, I think USDT is still used in a lot of things. And if you're working with foreign countries as well, like foreign companies, a lot of times it's just really easy for them to pay you in USDT over USD to send it like to your bank. And so that's also something that foreign companies will do as well, is do that. So it's it's stable and it's easy for people to send, and it's just like Bitcoin. You can send it within a few minutes and you have it in your hands, and you don't have to wait days for it to be processed through a bank. So
I really used to hate USDT because at the beginning it was like Omni USDT, which was on like a second layer of Bitcoin,
Sure.
and the blocks took like what 20, 15, 30 minutes, 1 hour at most, and it wasn't really friendly at all at the beginning until they started using Ethereum sidechain.
Right. Yeah, and Ethereum, right? Everybody likes Ethereum. And that's the confusing thing now is that some people like Kraken use Omni layer still, but then you have a lot of other wallets that use the Ethereum. So you have to definitely be careful when you're taking or sending Tether. You want to know, like, again, somebody could try to send Tether to somebody, say at Kraken or somewhere, and that they don't take the Ethereum, they take the Omni layer. So that's the only thing you have to watch out for.
So, do you think that we'll start seeing an ease of regulation on crypto and taxation in the US after COVID and this George Floyd drama, protests and riots?
Yeah, I think again when it comes to the crypto regulation, it just comes down to money and the government, getting their piece of the pie. They certainly want to get um, they certainly want to benefit from any taxation, and so, but it just comes down to adoption. I think bottom line, if you ease taxation regulation on crypto, you will have more adoption, because to pay on every transaction as little as a few dollars, it's a real hassle. It's a real hassle to keep up with. It's really costly, and people don't want to do it. But if the government steps back and sees, okay, there's going to be a lot more adoption of crypto assets if we ease up on regulations of taxation, anything under $600, we don't have to tax. You're going to have more and more people get into it and more spend money into it. And overall, they'll probably actually make more money on capital gains if they ease up on taxation, personally, is what I believe. So I do think over the next couple of years that they will ease up on some of the taxation. As far as COVID and some of these other things going on in the United States, I don't think that they have too much impact as far as cryptocurrency, personally right now. But I do think that we'll see some ease on regulation, hopefully, in the future.
How have you traded this COVID and this George Floyd's on legacy? Do you have like an action plan on shorting or longing the legacy markets, or you have specific stocks or commodities that you're looking in this hectic market?
Yeah, I think when it comes to stocks, it's like you can't almost lose right now. It's with the Federal Reserve just holding up and propping up the stock market. It's almost laughable. But bottom line, I think that when it comes to stocks, if anybody who wants to trade stocks is to really just know that some of these companies, it's really hard to bet against, like, Google, Amazon, Apple, those types of companies. I think that they're going to continue to do well long term. I think they're going to continue to hit all-time highs. And so, for me, I certainly look at companies that, when it comes to COVID, really it moves to a whole new way of living online. So, one stock that I even recently bought into around $80 was Etsy, where you could buy and sell and have a business online. It's shot up to $110, so, you're looking at a increase of, I don't know, 30% or so. So, just look for those types of companies where people have to use a means online, such as Zoom or Etsy or other things. I think that long term, if COVID doesn't go away, if there's not a vaccine, more and more people are going to move business online. And so look for those types of companies. Personally, if you're trading stocks, those will probably do well.
And off to the last question: do you think COVID have an impact on the U.S. election eventually? Who do you think will win?
Yeah, the U.S. election. So I try to stay pretty non-biased. I wouldn't consider myself a really political person. But bottom line, I think that, yeah, COVID definitely has had an impact on politics. A lot of people don't think that President Trump handled it very well, but at the same time, the stock market's doing really well. So you've got that for President Trump. Personally, I think that Trump will win again. Like I said, I wouldn't call myself a Trump supporter. I wouldn't call myself anti-Biden. I just think that Trump will continue to be president if the stock markets continue to do well. So I think that that's going to be a telling factor, even with COVID going on. If we see stocks continue to pump within a couple of months of the presidential election, I'm going to say that Trump's going to come out on top.
Even though those numbers about unemployment seems a bit sketchy from the past few reports and the under testing of COVID.
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist by any means, but again, I feel like, for the common person to be the deciding factor in the president, I just feel like that there are other forces that come to play when it comes to these elections. And I still feel like that corporations have a huge impact on who wins overall, personally. So again, if stocks are doing well, if corporations are making money as far as their own stocks, I think that in the end, that's going to play well in the hand of Trump. And so he'll still come out on top, even though that he's had a lot of negative feedback when it comes to unemployment and COVID.
Well, at least for him, before COVID, the U.S. economy was doing real well.
Right.
There wasn't much unemployment, at least from the outsider perspective from Latin America. Things were going good for Trump. I think if this wouldn't have happened, the COVID and George Floyd, he would have won by a landslide when coming elections, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think that it evens out the playing field a little bit, but and that's something too to look at, is just saying, hey, look, regardless of who president is, I mean, COVID has had a massive impact on this world, right? Not just a couple of countries, but this whole world. And regardless of who's in leadership, there's not really a lot that you can do when there's a pandemic comes around. Of course, it could have been handled better, but bottom line, it's tough to take that away. It's tough to count that against somebody when this is really the first time we've really ever experienced this since like the Spanish flu, which was 100 years ago, and things have changed. So we'll see. I mean, I think that it's going to be close, but if I were a betting man, which I'm not going to be a betting man, I think that Trump pulls out 45%.
And with that, we end our episode. I'm really honored to have Josh on Point Blank. Thanks for coming on. Can you tell us where we can find you?
So you can find me on Twitter, of course, Josh_Rager. You can also check out blockroots.com, of course, co-founder of that. So that's just with market education. If you're interested in trading are the crypto markets.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.